Okay, so we're gonna talk about Shenhe. She is a unique character that has a really interesting weapon set. The thing with Shenhe is that she actually scales differently than most characters in Genshin based upon how you're gonna use her. And we're gonna be talking about her mainly for her support build and the best weapons to use for her overall support kit based upon math. Oh, we're gonna do a lot of math. So I hope you enjoy math for damage boosting and all that.
Is clearing up, and so is my mood.
Me too, girl.
Just hope no one shows up to bother me.
I know, right?
I'll just make them disappear.
Me too. All right, so we do a lot of tier lists on the channel. If you guys are not aware, we do a lot of weapon tier lists for every character that I can think of. And this one's gonna be a little bit different, of course, because we're doing it on support builds. But let me know what you guys wanna see in these weapon tier lists in the comment section down below. The last one we did for Ito, a lot of you guys liked, so we'll just keep on the same format, and I got a new layout for this one. So the main thing with Shenhe that we gotta talk about is that when we're looking at the tier list, the number one thing that we're going to focus around is going to be her elemental skill, because that's a major part of her kit that actually provides impactful damage increases to your team. And the way this works is it's going to give you a damage percentage bonus based on your attack percentage. So the major stat that matters for Shenhe overall is just raw attack percentage. Energy recharge does play a factor into what she needs to actually keep her rotations up, but seeing how you can actually get that on your substats for whatever kind of attack percentage you're going to add to your team, this makes it so it's not necessarily viable. Plus, that also makes high base attack really valuable, because since she's a character that actually scales on attack percentage, any attack percentage adds that we get are going to be really valuable with more high base attack. So let's go into some weapons that'll be really good for Shenhe. So for the bad weapons for Shenhe, these are the ones that are not very good at all. These weapons are the Dragon's Bane, the Dragon Spine Spear, the black tassel, the white tassel, and of course the prototype Star Letter R1 through R5. I actually just forgot to upload the image, but it's going to be that no matter what. They're all going to be really low attack. They have very low base attacks on all these weapons, so they're not very good for Shenhe in general, and they don't have any attack percentage adds. Then we'll go up to the weapons that are really good for non-support builds, that are like decent overall damage increase weapons, but not so much really good for any type of major build for Shenhe. And these weapons are the Blackcliff Polearm, the Deathmatch, and the Catch. All three of these weapons are actually quite bad for support build Shenhe. So if you're looking to build a support Shenhe, don't be using any of these weapons. They're actually way better suited on your crit chance and crit damage carries, and not so much on Shenhe for any kind of support build. It's like using a Blackcliff Slasher on an EM Kazuha. It can work, but it's not what you're looking for as far as giving your team an actual damage percentage boost. Arguably, I could put the Deathmatch up here into the mediocre tier at Refined 5, because you actually do get a little bit more attack percentage on a Deathmatch that's closer to these ones, so I probably should move it up a little bit. And the Blackcliff with stacks does move up as well, but I'm gonna be honest, I want to keep them down at lower tiers just for weapon optimization. Seeing how you're not able to get multiple Refined 5 Blackcliffs on multiple characters on your team compositions, and there's plenty of team compositions going to utilize a Deathmatch on other characters. I would assume this would be better for a non-support character. So that's why, even though you can get a lot more attack percentage out of these two weapons, let's keep them down on the tier list just because it's not a good for any kind of weapon optimization for your team. Now, if you want to say they go higher, whatever, it's fine. But next up, we have the Favonius Lance Refine 1 through Refine 5, which has 565 base attack. We have the Crescent Pike, which is the same base attack, and of course the Keton Crossbear, which also has the same base attack. All three of these weapons have the same overall attack percentage game at 3257 of the total amount of attack percentage based on my kit. And currently, I have like over 250% attack percentage, I think, at this point, or something like that. And we're at 80 Ascendant. So these are all pretty good weapons. Favonius is probably going to be the better weapon to choose out of all of these weapons, just because it has an energy recharge passive where you can actually get that. But the problem is that you're going to need a large amount of crit chance to even proc the Favonius, so that's why he's kind of a mediocre weapon. It's not ideal. It does have high ER, but it's probably better than the other ones. But again, not ideal because you're not going to get the procs as often, and might be better suited on another character that actually has more crit chance for damage. Next on the list, we're going to go into the decent tier. These are all pretty good weapons on Shenhe. There is the Blackcliff at Refined 5 that has high stacks, but the ones we're going to be talking about are these decent options. These are somewhere between the Royal Weapons Refined 1 through Refined 5. We got the Wavebreaker Fin, and of course the Lithic Spear with 1 stack. So if you're just using a Lithic Spear with 1 stack at Refine 1, this is basically where you're going to get the Spear, by the way, the Lithic Spear. All right. And this is where you're gonna have these basic weapons. Staff of Homa at Refine 1 is gonna have about a baseline around this point. So you will see a similar damage value at Refine 1 above the 50% threshold. So if you're going to be at that threshold, I would say the Staff of Homa deserves to be down here. However, the Staff of Homa also has an option of being below 50% and getting that higher attack percent. And seeing how Shenhe is not a snapshotted character, it would probably be a little bit higher as far as damage value goes. Lithic, if you're going to be running mono leeway teams or a lot more leeway characters, you'll see a lot bigger gains on this with higher refines in the weapon and higher amounts of leeway characters. My thought early on was that both the Royal Spear as well as the Wavebreaker Fin were going to be optimal options for her. And then when I did the math and found out the actual amount of attack percentage that you're going to have for any kind of Wavebreaker, it was really interesting to see that even with a 620% base, 620 base attack, the Wavebreaker was not actually outstripping other weapons. So I was very surprised to see that. But overall, seeing how it does increase elemental burst damage, this is a great option to go for. And the other option, of course, is the Royal Spear. Of course, that if you do just want to pick up one copy of this out of the shop and you don't have access to a Wavebreaker, this is probably the best overall option to pick up if you're fully free to play. It is the free to play Archon Spear for Shenhe because it's an attack percentage main stat with high base attack and overall probably the best one to pick up. But again, you're only really going to use that on Shenhe, so it's not going to have like any kind of crossover with weapon optimization. And I would only pick up one copy, if that. All right, now we're moving into more Chad style weapons. These are more of the whale-esque weapons and the ones that you can actually get. I actually did not do the math on the Summit Shaper, but I didn't do the math on the Summit Shaper, but I know this is going to be a high attack percentage because it's a high base attack weapon, the attack percentage main stat. So it's that 608 base attack with like the stacks up here, and it's going to be decent. I'd say that at R5, it's probably not the best option, but because there are going to be other weapons that you can use, and getting the stacks on this weapon is massively problematic, but you do get some stacks passively, so I mean some attack passively, so it's okay. But I don't think this is going to be a great weapon for Shenhe overall, just because getting stacks is problematic. But that can be said true of pretty much all the other weapons coming out, so I don't know if that's going to be the case. Staff of Homa at R1 is at with a below 50%, actually has a very high amount of attack at 3943, at the highest overall amount of attack between these weapons. The Lithic Spear at R5 has a really interesting amount of attack at 3863, so it's pretty close to the Staff of Homa at Refine 1 at below 50%. So if you're looking for a pretty high attack run up, that's going to be the Lithic Spear. Jade Spear at max stacks is actually lower overall attack percentage than the Lithic Spear. So if you're able to get max stacks on R5 Lithic Spear, it's actually going to be better than Jade Spear at R1, which is very interesting as well. Skyward is the lowest overall option between these weapons at 3600 attack between R1 to R5, but does have an energy recharge main stat, so it is a little bit easier to work around. Now there is the Engulfing Lightning, and then the Engulfing Lightning with R5 with no proc is pretty close to the R1 with no proc, so about 3600 attack or so. And I didn't really do the math on this one because I just eyeballed it, and this one was it's pretty much on the par with what this ratio is. So if you're looking for like a mid-range good option, these are all great options for all the 5-star weapons. The Lithic is probably the best overall option if you're using multiple leeway characters, but if you're not using them, with 3 leeway characters, you still be in the same range, and 2 leeway characters, you'll probably be down to a decent option, but you know, 3 leeway characters would probably get you up here, no problem at all. And final tier for the max damage on all the weapons, Calamity Queller is ridiculous. It is literally the best overall weapon for Shenhe. There's no other comparison for any other type of weapon. It does ridiculous amounts of attack percentage adds overall, and the only other weapon that even comes close to it is a Staff of Homa at Refine 5 below 50%, and that's going to actually get you to not even all the way to a Refine 1 Calamity Queller. So that's really interesting that the Calamity Queller with max stacks is going to just dumpster everything that you can actually have off field. You can see it's at 4,430 total attack that you're going to get versus the Staff of Homa being at 4,233. So both of the Jade Spear as well as the what's it called? The Summit Shaper? Vortex, thanks. So the Vortex at R5 is going to be pretty close to what you're going to get the Jade Spear at R5. The attack percentage add, because you have to be on field to even get the stacks for either of these. These 2 weapons are not as good as other weapons, but will reach higher values. So between the 2, I would say I would move these 2 down, because getting the stacks on a character that's going to be off field is really problematic. So even though they can have really high potential at high end, I'm going to move them down overall just because of getting the stacks being way too problematic with a character like Shenhe, because you have to actually maintain with auto attacks, etc. And the amount of time that's going to take that is going to be not optimal. whereas R5 Homa, you can actually get that on field. So just know that overall, these options are going to be the best options for Shenhe. There's not really too much comparison. You should always go for the Calamity Queller if you have the option, but R1 on the Engulfing Lightning is probably a really, really good option if you're not going to use it on your Raiden Shogun. Now, on here, the reason that the Calamity Queller is so powerful, by the way, and a lot of people will ask me about this, is that the way the Calamity Queller works is you have to be off field for the Calamity Queller to work. And the stacks actually on the Calamity Queller will double an overall value as far as the overall percentage that you get when you're off field. So because when you're off field, you get a bigger boost. That's why the Calamity Queller starts drastically boosting versus any other weapon. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this video. My name's Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. You guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about the Calamity Queller and other characters in this video, and all the format of this one in comparison to other ones. We didn't do as much like showcasing numbers and stuff in this one. We just wanted to show off like why these weapons are better, just to make it a little bit easier. And it's a little bit easier to make a video format like this with more math and less showcasing for me. So if this is easier and better, let me know if you like this format in the comment section down below. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.